Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Jeff with Fluent American checking in once more, and we are obviously in a different location again. Also have some family members who are around, and you may hear them in the background, or they may stop by. But yeah, this is not a permanent change. This is just change happening for today. We will be back at our standard time at 1:30 p.m. New York time next week. Just in case this is your first time ever joining us, welcome. Or if you're watching on the replay, welcome. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be listening to your pronunciation files and giving you suggestions on how to sound a little bit more natural in American English, if that is your goal. Kind of start with this one here and just kind of doing some rapid thoughts or suggestions.
Well, he's the only man to shoot down 3 enemy planes in the last 40 years.
You know, the very first thing that kind of stands out to me about this file is just the number of stresses that you have. What you're going to hear is it's kind of breaking off after maybe like every 3 or 4 words. So what the result of that is it gives your sentence a lot of stress, and it kind of breaks it up. So you're never really allowing yourself the opportunity to flow, kind of give a consistent sentence. To give you an example of this, let's just kind of count how many stresses you have.
Well,
1 stress.
he's the only man to
Only man. So there's stress there on only.
shoot down 3 enemy planes.
Shoot down. You could even make an argument that there's a stress there on shoot.
In the last
3 enemy planes. Also stress on planes.
40 years.
In the last 40 years. So again, the stress on 40 as well. Okay, so you know, it's not like a super long sentence, but already we're looking at 4 or 5 stresses. So we're never really giving ourselves the chance to flow in our sentence because we're always breaking it up. You know, so some opportunities that you could have there, if I'm looking at this sentence, if I'm trying to choose which words to stress here, I would consider, well, so only I would consider stressing. Man to shoot down. He's the only man to shoot down 3 enemy planes. I think you have some options as to you could either stress 3 or you could stress planes, but I probably want to stress both of them. In general situations in English, what you'll find is that the noun at the end is the word that gets stressed, and usually not the number. To give you an example, like I earned $2 or I have 5 books, you know, so usually it's on the noun afterwards. But if you're trying to emphasize that, so if you're really like 3 enemy planes, like it's just so incredible that you did 3, you could put the stress there. But yeah, so I think you get away with honestly just probably 2 stresses on this sentence. That's going to be my first major suggestion here. Okay, I'll play that one more time just to give you an idea.
Well, he's the only man to shoot down 3 enemy planes in the last 40 years.
Yeah, so again, and also enemy planes. So we're missing in the last 40 years. So that would have been helpful to see. Sorry if you heard that. In the last 40 years, so shoot down 3 enemy planes in the last 40 years. I don't even know if you honestly need a stress on any of those words there for in the last 40 years. I think you get away with it, but I also don't think it's necessary. I think you could be fine stressing only and stressing planes. I think that'd be perfectly fine. Okay. If we have time today, we'll go into more in-depth details, but that's kind of a place just to start. Let's continue working backwards a bit for our next file.
Doing. Recover. Hey, how's Jonathan doing? Did he recover?
You know, I think that your sentence is already sounding a lot more natural than the words individually, because I think what's happening when you have the individual words is, you know, you have words that have 3-ish stresses, and what's happening is you're putting about equal weight on each stress. So like recover, but then listen to how you say recover in the actual sentence.
Doing. Recover. Hey, how's Jonathan doing? Did he recover?
So like instead of recover, you know, you're doing recover, and that's honestly the more common way you're probably going to hear it in natural speech. That first syllable is not your stress. The cover is your stress. It's like the k sound, so that's with the schwa. So that first syllable is going to be very reduced. So instead of doing like a re sound, much more likely to hear it become either a schwa or just kind of super reduced. So instead of re, it becomes like recover. Same thing with that last syllable too on the ver. It's a very fast sound. It's not super strong. The only sound that you really need to make sure is being emphasized is that middle one with that schwa sound against like k, recover, recover. Did he recover? Did he recover? Okay. Same thing also with doing. I do want to hear again how you said doing.
Doing.
It's like doing. So like what's happening is your ing sound, your ing is taking on more of an e. It sounds like ing versus ang. So I think what's happening is your placement shifting a little higher. So you're kind of producing from more of dislocation in terms of your body. And again, in American English in general, what's happening is you're producing sound more from your diaphragm, from a lower positions. So instead of doing e, you try and get a little more So instead of doing, more doing. Okay. So I would reduce that in the sentence the way you said it.
Recover. Hey, how's Jonathan doing?
Doing. The way you said doing there sounded a lot more natural. The ing wasn't as strong. I think it also had lower placement, and I think it also had a lot more breath coming through. So I would watch out when you're learning words individually or practicing words individually to, don't always consider how they would appear in sentences, because words don't appear in isolation, right? Words appear with other words. So I think in general you'd probably want to take on the pronunciation that would sound more natural in a situation, in a sentence level situation. Trying to imagine those, because I think the way you're doing it there sounds a lot more natural. But thanks for sending that file. I'm going to take a look at our third one here to get some quick feedback.
Do something at the drop of a hat.
Do something at the drop of a hat. Do something. So you're stressing do something at the drop of a hat. So again, you're kind of giving me three stresses. Do, drop, hat. So like strong, and that's fine, but I think a more likely way you would hear that, like do something at the drop of the hat. Like, do something at the drop of the hat. I think hat would actually probably end up getting a slightly stronger stress than drop. Do something, drop of the hat. At the drop of a hat. But I think you might also be able to hear that with the stress on drop as opposed to hat. But yeah, I would make a choice. So you don't want to probably stress both. You probably want to pick one more strongly than the other. I think the other thing too is that in terms of the pitch patterns, we kind of falling into things that are very regular. Do something, da 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 da. Do something at the drop of a hat. Do something at the drop of a hat. And I think more likely you're going to hear more variation in an actual context, an actual situation. This would be a great sentence. It's a common expression in English. So if you went to youglish.com and you type this in, I would be curious to hear what the variations would be, because I think that the patterns that you're using here are so regular that in general American English doesn't like that as much if things start becoming a little bit predictable or even like sing-songy. So instead of doing like do something at the drop of a hat, more like do something at the drop of a hat. Do something at the drop of a hat. I think one of those patterns would be a little bit more likely, in all honesty. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have some questions about that, be sure to let me know. Mr. Go Big Go Home has a question. What's the difference between range and spectrum? Yeah, range is, the very first, anytime you have like a vocab thing too, Mr. Go Big Go Home, great to see you again. If you have a vocab, if you're trying to learn a vocab word, or you're trying to understand it better, just some real quick suggestions before I answer this. The first thing I would do is like, I would do a Google image search just to kind of see what are the first associations that come up with the word. So I would look at, what comes up for range, but I also look up what comes up for spectrum. Okay. Second thing I would do is I would look up, there are things called Collocation Dictionaries, which basically let you know collocations are common groups of words that go together. Because kind of like what I mentioned earlier, when you have a word, you don't just want to learn a word in isolation. You want to try to learn a word with other words, because words don't appear by themselves. Words appear in groups. So we want to try to find out, what are some of the most common situations that a word occurs in? What are some of the common words that appear with the word? So, the words that maybe appear with range might be different than the words that appear with spectrum. For instance, if I go to a real quick way you can do this. Okay, so if I, one of the most powerful language tools you have is Google. Google is pretty much just like a huge database of language research. So for instance, we're talking about spectrum. Actually, you probably want to go to incognito mode, in private mode, so that way it's not interrupted by your previous search histories and things like that. So if I go here and I just type in spectrum, And so the first thing I'm seeing, okay, so Spectrum is obviously an internet company. I might type around it though. So like for instance here, I typed in before. It's like a spectrum of, shadow. A spectrum of reasons for failure. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of phrases with a spectrum of. Okay, so I can type in a spectrum of opportunities, a spectrum of sunlight, a spectrum of colors, a spectrum of shadows. So I'm seeing that, you know, one thing I think you're going to see a lot with spectrum as a word is you're probably going to see it associated with colors and light. You know, and that's already something I'm seeing. And if I even just type in a spectrum of, just want to see what the first image searches are. So these are the first things that come up with spectrum. All right. And so again, we're seeing color and we're seeing light. Okay. Let's compare that with range. Okay, so if I say a range of, okay, so a range of mountains, a range of emotions, a range of options, a range of colors, okay, a range of, okay, so I'm already getting some ideas. And if I go to image, a range of, okay, so I'm seeing it's also a mathematic term. You know, so I would play around with the image searches. Again, I would play around with the autofill. So like I just did a space. Let's see what happens if I type in an A range of affairs, a range of actions. How about if I type in a B, range of brushes? Okay, if I type in a C, a range of colors, a range of cells. Okay. If I type in D, data, dash, different things, dates. So you kind of get the picture. You can change around those letters to get some different ideas for the word. What's the difference between range and spectrum? Yeah, so I think a lot of times when you see spectrum, you're thinking more of like light spectrum and things like that. Okay, whereas I think for range, it means like almost more like a variety of things. High native, I think it's fine. I don't think there's an issue with it. You know, I think, you know, there's so many language apps out there now, and a lot of them are doing similar types of things. Find one that you like and you feel comfortable with and stick with it. You know, I think if that's high native, that's cool. I actually used to stream a little bit with high native before I dropped it. But yeah, I think if you like it and you're finding it useful, it's nice to be able to interact with native speakers in that regard. So, but you know, if you find that it works for you in that regard, then yeah, do it. Question from Maria. Maria, you can just call me Jeff. You don't have to call me Professor. Show me the correct pronunciation between few, feel, and fill. Yeah, sure. So again, few, feel, fill. No. By way of getting a visit. Who are you?
I'm Greg.
So this is my brother. You may have actually seen him. We did a video a while ago talking about tongue twisters and things.
Twisters, Irish wristwatch.
Yeah, that's our favorite. That's one of my favorite tongue twisters is Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Greg, how is your American English?
It could be better.
I agree. No, just kidding. I mean, he speaks all right. He does all right. But yeah, if you guys have a question, Mr. Go Big or Go Home says hey.
Hey, him, go big.
Go home.
I'll just call
Go
you
big.
big.
This, all right.
Watch out for Peloton.
Hey, do you want to say a couple words for me?
Yes.
Okay. How would you say these words? Much close to my mic. Okay. No, like when you talk.
Okay. Which words?
These words here.
Few. Feel. Fill.
Good, thank you. Yeah, so again, I would say those as well as few, feel, fill. Few, feel, fill. Yeah. Say hey. Great words. We'll talk more about them in a minute. What's up, Marcos? Yes, we are twins. Glad you were entertained. That's good. To go more in detail on those words, so few, again, that's your oo sounds. So a lot of teachers are going to tell you to do like super round lips, but that's not entirely necessary. Sometimes that can raise your placement, make it really tense. Okay, you want to project from a lower position, as my wonderful model Greg is demonstrating. You want to be projecting. Remember that you want to be engaging with your diaphragm. Okay, so you don't just want to be projecting from your lungs. You want to be projecting from a lower position. Okay. Like you're vomiting, yes. Just like that. There are videos where I just make duplicates of myself, but there is one video where he actually appears. So yeah, I do. Are you in two?
Not
I did make a short of our video. So, but anyways, so that's for few. What was the other word? Oh, feel. So for feel, you want to be careful because this is your E sound. Your E is called a long vowel. That doesn't really mean anything in terms of time. Just because it says long doesn't mean that it actually is longer. But the one area where this is important is because when you have a long vowel that links with an L, it breaks into two parts. So it's going to sound like eel, eel. It's like feel.
Feel.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, oh, the zoo video. That's true. See, these guys know my videos. They know my videos better than I do. What was the last word? Oh, fill. That's probably the hardest word here. So for fill, this is your short I sound. So it's the very back of your tongue is down. You're raising the middle of your tongue. It can help to bite the sides of your tongue very gently, but the sound is like more gently than that. If it starts bleeding, that's not good. But the goal of that sound is like eh. We'll go to the hospital later. Can you wait? And it's going to be a dark L at the end. So like when you're saying fill, I know you see those L's at the end, but the tip of your tongue is not up here. It's actually lower, and it sounds more like ill than an ill. You know, if you're doing l, that's a sign that you're probably making too firm contact. Okay? Greg, would you recommend High Native, the language learning application?
Yes. I would.
It's fine. It does the job. Like I was saying before, you know, find the app that works best for you. I've streamed with it before. It's fine. I think it's nice to communicate with native speakers. Is Greg also an English teacher?
No.
What do you do?
I work in education.
Not to be confused with being an English teacher, though. Actually, if you guys know the can I tell them about Discovery?
Discovery Education is
Yeah.
amazing.
If you guys know the Discovery Channel, Shark Week. Any Shark Week fans here? He does Shark Week. No, he doesn't do Shark Week, but he works for he works for the company that does Shark Week and the Discovery Channel and stuff like that. But no, he is not an English teacher. He actually, when I was working at a language center once, he came to visit my class and talk to my students, and like all he used were a bunch of like idioms and collocations and like super advanced terms, and so my students were just people were just staring like, yeah, it was a shock for people. What's your best piece of language learning advice?
Honestly, I learned best when I started watching your videos.
You've heard it from him. They're saying Greg looks like a bodybuilder.
Oh, you should have me channels more often.
And you're also saying you're an oceanographer and marine biologist.
And an architect.
And an architect. All different career avenues for my brother to pursue.
The summer of Greg.
This is the summer of Greg. All right, we're gonna jump to our next pronunciation file. Do you want to try giving some advice? It's my show. I can say what's a good idea. let me hear the file first. Let's see what our next one is. Oh, let me Marcos, can you explain what an oceanographer is? Can you guess that? Let me share my screen. Alright, so you're getting the infinite window again, which is great. Let me play this, and then Greg's going to give some great pronunciation of it.
Oh, how'd your interview go? Did you kill it?
So Greg is going to listen to this and give his first thoughts.
Like the first thing that comes to my mind?
Like in terms of pronunciation and stuff like that.
Okay.
Alright, ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, here we go.
So, how'd your interview go? Did you kill it?
Go and play it again.
Yeah, one more time.
Play it again.
Can everybody hear this? Is it just me?
How'd your interview go? Did you kill it?
Okay.
Go and play it again.
And what am I doing?
Anything you don't understand? Think that it sounds natural or unnatural? Like someone talked to you like this on the street. Would you
So
be
it
able
felt like a little jumbled in the middle, and then I was able to understand it more towards the end.
Okay.
By
which part?
Yeah.
So, how'd your interview go? Did you kill it?
The how'd your interview go? It felt kind of. It's like, oh, okay, I understand what he's saying. I had to listen to it like a couple times.
Got you. Let's try to see why.
Yeah.
What's going on? Thank you, Greg. No, that was helpful. Because that's, I mean, that's what, because it's hard when like people talk to me because, let's be honest, I talk to more people with accents than without accents, you know? So, not say you don't talk to people with accents, but, so you said that middle part was a little jumbly.
So, how'd your interview go? Did you kill it?
So probably like the word interview.
So, how'd your interview go?
Interview go. Interview go. Can you say interview?
Interview?
Mm-hmm.
How'd your interview go? Did you kill it? Oh, how'd your interview go?
I think the issue with interview is that the oo sound isn't long enough.
So, how'd your interview go?
Play it one more time.
So, how'd your interview go?
So let me I'm gonna ask my brother to wear these again, and I'm gonna ask him to consider if interview had a longer oo sound, would that have helped?
So, how'd your interview go? Did you kill it?
Yeah, you don't hear the EW at the end. It just kind of
Yeah, so I think the issue is that it's missing a vowel sound, or the vowel sound is there, but it's very weak. And remember, American English is so focused on vowels, especially compared to a lot of other languages. So making sure that the vowels are standing out, otherwise it's going to be a lot more difficult to understand.
So, how'd your interview go? Did you kill it?
I would also just comment really quick on kill it, because I think it's sounding a little bit...
Kill it?
Kill it.
Did you kill it?
Kill it. Kill it. So I do think that your placement kind of shifts high, and it gets a little tenser and more closed off on the kill it, versus mine was more kill it. So I feel like kill it versus kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. You know, so using more of that dark L sound, keeping that tip of your tongue low. Also, opening your mouth a little bit wider, I think would have helped with the clarity a little bit more and open things.
I do hope they killed it though.
Yeah, but if you were actually using this in a real situation, hopefully your friend or whoever you said this to did a good job on their interview. Hoping for the best. Yeah. Want to see if just want to check the chat really quick. Okay. Marcos, bringing in the definitions. Thank you, Marcos. Study animals, sharks, whales, seals, fish. Thank you. Oceanographer studies the ocean. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Marcos. Marcos getting. If I had my soundboard, you'd be getting all kinds of applause and things, but I don't have my tools. So that's our soundboard. Okay, next file. Next file.
Well, I just want my parents to know that I'm not rejecting their offer to help.
Okay, I'll play again.
Well, I just want my parents to know that I'm not rejecting their offer to help.
Well, I just want my parents to know that I'm not rejecting their offer to help. Very flat. I think the sounds are actually very clear.
Well, I just want my parents to know that I'm not rejecting their offer to help.
Yeah, listen.
Well, I just want my parents to know.
Like, well, I just want my parents to know. You know, so where's our range? Can we expand it a little bit more? So instead of, well, I just want my parents to know, could we be like, well, I just want my parents to know. You know, so like, something needs to go higher and something also needs to go lower. Because right now, everything is kind of compacted. It feels like it's being run through a compressor. One more time on that first part.
Well, I just want my parents to know that.
You know, the thing that probably has the most movement is the word well. It's like, well, I just want my parents to know versus, well, I just want my parents to know. Like, parents to know. Do you hear that movement? Just doing that just adds more contrast, makes it a lot easier to understand. You know, that's another opportunity too on not. You could go on higher. That I'm not rejecting their offer to help. That I'm not rejecting their offer to help. You know, something like that would have just made the clarity a lot better. You know, the actual vowel sounds and things I think are actually pretty good.
Well, I just want my parents to know that I'm not rejecting their offer to help.
You know, so I think the basic ideas there, in terms of vowel sounds and sounds and pronunciation, I think are actually pretty good. But again, that's the pitches, because everything's kind of sounding the same. So those would be my big recommendations there. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions about that, sure, let me know. Our next one here.
Although I've been studying English for 3 years now, I still have to Google words every now and then. Although I've been studying English for 3 years now, I still have to Google words every now and then.
Okay, kind of similar ideas to the previous one too, with in terms of pitch. Some of these pitches are kind of blending together, and also linking. We're getting some choppy sounds, so not necessarily joining words together. So that's giving us a sentence that has a little bit less flow than I would like to see. I'll try to point you to some examples of that.
Although I've been studying English for 3 years now.
Although I've been studying English for 3 years now. 3 years now. Although I've been studying English for 3 years now.
Although I've been studying English for 3 years now.
Although I've been studying English for 3 years now. So it sounds to me like you're kind of giving me like three stresses, like although I've been studying English, second stress, for 3 years now. Then a stress on now. And the reality is that, hey, this is probably your whole thought group. Can we say this with one stress? You could have gotten away with probably just stressing years. Like, although I've been studying English for 3 years now. Although I've been studying English for 3 years now. I don't think although is likely to get stress. Also don't think English is probably going to get stress either. So that's going to be my first recommendation, is to cut down some of the stresses, because that's going to allow you to lower your pitches more and also link things together more. So like some opportunities in terms of linking for that first part.
Although I've been studying English for 3 years.
Can you say that I've been. Listen to, like, I would again go to Youglish and type in a phrase like I've been and just kind of hear how people say that. So notice again, I've been. Because right now your V sound is very strong. And I think what you're going to hear is, for a lot of native speakers, is that V is going to become a lot weaker as it joins with the B.
Although I've been studying.
I've been versus I've been. Although I've been. Although I've been.
Although I've been studying.
Also, your I sound is also very strong for your pronouns. Like, although I've been versus although I've been. So like I said, I eat more I. You know, it's tricky with English, because English probably has a lot of vowel sounds that your first language has. But the keep in mind that even though it's the same vowel sound, it doesn't necessarily mean that the sound is going to be exactly the same. It's very easy to default back to your first language. So for instance, that I, there's a great chance that in your language it sounds a little bit more like I or like I and things like that. Whereas in American English, it's a little bit more open and it's a lower projected sound. So it's more I. It's like although I, and it's also reduced in this case. So instead of I, it becomes like although I've been. So I would be making that sound a little bit weaker.
Studying English for 3 years now.
English as well is a very commonly mispronounced word.
English for 3 years now. I've been studying English for 3.
English. Probably weaken your L sound a little bit. And again, it's short I. It's like English, English, English. I would study that sort of progression a little bit.
Studying English for 3 years now.
3 years now.
For 3 years now.
Something I see with a lot of my, again, I'm not entirely sure what your first language is, but what I see with a lot of especially Asian language groups, when you have numbers with a noun, there's a very common tendency to put the stress on the number, whereas in American English, the more likely place for the stress is on the object or the noun. So it says 3 years now, more 3 years now. 3 years. So I think in a general situation in American English, you would expect years to be stressed. Real quick notes about the second half.
I still have to Google words every now and then.
That last part's super choppy. Every now and then. Every now and then. Every now and then. Versus and then. And then. So a lot of times what you're going to hear with that phrase, and then. That would be another great phrase to put into Youglish to hear how native speakers are doing it. It's like and then. Because a lot of times that D sound on and is actually going to link with that TH on then. So instead of having two separate sounds like and then, it's a lot more common to hear that pronounced like and then. Every now and then. That's a great phrase, by the way, to just kind of study saying. You know, I would practice saying that in sets of 3 as fast as you can, like every now and then. I think that would be very helpful.
Still have to Google words. I still have to Google words.
And one last thing again about stress patterns. This the way that this is said, I think, is a less common pattern. I still have to Google words.
I still have to Google words.
I think the most common stressor would be still. Still is one of those adverbs that's very commonly stressed. So I still have to Google words. So I do think that is another consideration I would have. I do hope that those bits of feedback are helpful. If you have some questions about that, be sure to let me know. Last group from our original.
Cat chased the mouse that ate the cheese that came from a cow that grazed in the field.
This is Shoke. Okay. Question here, thanks for comment. One stress in one sentence. It doesn't necessarily work like that. It works like if you, so this is a great question for us to address. So the bigger thing is, instead of viewing it as sentences, sentences are made up of things called thought groups. A thought group is a group of words that you can say that go together in a sentence before you typically breathe or before you need to take a pause and things like that. Okay. When you have a thought group, there's going to be one word in that thought group that receives primary stress. If you're able to, in sentences, find out where the thought groups are, it can really help you determine the rhythm of the sentence because, again, in one thought group, there's one word that's going to receive heavy stress. You know, so one sentence might just have one thought group, one sentence might have two thought groups. I mean, if it's a really long sentence, it could have 5, 6 thought groups. Or, you know, if you look at public speaking or people giving speeches or anything like that, one technique that a lot of people do when they're presenting or teachers is they have many thought groups. They have more stresses. When you have more stresses, it breaks your sentence up more, and it also adds more emphasis. It slows you down, and it basically makes more words stand out, so it can make it easier for your listener to understand what you're saying. So it's a great public speaking technique, but in terms of conversations with your friends, probably not the most helpful because it doesn't sound the most natural. So one thing to kind of go back to this point is I would say that if you do shadowing exercises, if you're listening to people, then what I would really recommend is I would recommend when you're doing shadowing, trying to identify what words are being stressed. Another technique would also be trying to identify where are the pauses occurring in the sentence. So then, you know, these are things just to begin building awareness of. Other things you want to be paying attention to as well are pitch. You know, paying attention, you know, where are the places where the person's using a higher pitch? Where are the places where they're using a lower pitch? Because we're trying to add more contrast to your speech. Hopefully that answers your question. Going back to our next audio file. Give me one moment. You will see the infinite window. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Okay, so this is the sentence that we have. Thanks to Shoke for gracing us again.
The cat chased the mouse that ate the cheese that came from a cow that grazed in the field.
Graze in the field. Graze in the field. Okay, so you have this almost sounds like a nursery rhyme fairy tale kind of phrase.
The cat chased the mouse.
The cat chased the mouse. You know, I'm trying to think of like the actual story this is coming from. I feel like there's a song that actually has this, but you're putting a lot of stress on your verb.
The cat chased the mouse.
The cat chased the mouse. The cat chased the mouse. I think the more common word that you're going to hear stressed though is probably going to be either cat or mouse. Verbs can be stressed in American English. They are content words. But I think the reality is that, in honesty, verbs don't get the stress very often. It's usually going to be more on one of the nouns around it, whether it's the subject or the object. So instead of the cat chased the mouse, I think you're more likely to hear like the cat chased the mouse or the cat chased the mouse. And I'm wondering if this pattern gets repeated.
The cat chased the mouse that ate the cheese that
ate the cheese. So again, you're putting a lot of heavy stress again on the verb. That ate the cheese versus that ate the cheese.
that came from a cow.
That came from a cow. That came from a cow. It's like that ate the cheese. That ate the cheese. That came from a cow. So again, I would just reduce those verbs a little bit and just kind of see the impact that that has on your speech.
That grazed in the field.
That graze in the field. So then on field, you got some weight there on field, which is good. But yeah, my biggest suggestion for this file is actually change your stress patterns. Instead of stressing your verbs, put it on either the subjects or the objects. And I think that will give you a more natural sound. Okay, I'm going to give you guys back your screen just for a moment. I do want to just take a moment to highlight something that's really exciting. So we are starting a new program called Mission English, which I think if you're watching a live stream like this, you may actually enjoy finding more information about, and we'll talk about it in a second.
Ooh, ooh. Notice that for me, I'm not really having that ooh, ooh. And it doesn't sound exactly the same, like ooh and ooh, but they're close enough that for the speech that you're doing in daily life, it'll be okay. Really nice day.
Really nice day.
So what I'm hearing, so I heard really nice day. So what happened was you put day at a lower pitch. Really nice day.
Just loose.
Okay. I would say, I thought for the most part it sounded pretty good. I think there were a couple words that we do want to watch out for a little bit. Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, there you go. That last one's great.
Yeah, so Mission English is basically our new program. So Mission English consists of a private Facebook group where we stream for about 30 minutes or more every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. Now, this is, again, a private group that you do need to register for. You can find out registration information at fluentamerican.com/Mission English. But I do hope you check us out. We finished our trial. We got some great feedback from people. Overall, they overwhelmingly seem to enjoy it. So I do think that if you're the type of person that is trying to get experiences like this, where you can actually jump on the stream with me live, in front of people too, we're all kind of working together to improve pronunciation. We talk about different topics. We talk about vowels. We talk about pitches. I posted a couple of different videos to kind of highlight some things that happened in the group. So, and in fact, some of you guys watching actually participated in the trial, so thank you so much for joining us, because that was super valuable. But I do think it's something that you would enjoy. And also, again, registrations are opening up right now. We are actually going to be starting on Wednesday. And again, stream, 3-minute stream every day of the week. It'll be great to see you. You can go to fluentamerican.com and you'll see a Mission English option on the right tab. All right, I know that Joaquin sent me some files. I just want to vet them really quick. I also see Yuri, you sent a file too. Cool, thank you.
Whatever life holds in store for me, I will never forget these words. With great power comes great responsibility. This is my gift, my curse.
Very dramatic reading. I appreciate that. Some little things here.
Whatever life holds in store for me.
How are you saying life?
Whatever life holds.
Life, whatever life. I do think that life, you gotta. I do feel like your throat closed a little bit to let through a little bit less air. Okay, versus mine, which is more life, because that's kind of the first thing that's jumping out to me. I'm wondering if it's the L sound. You could do a progression like life, life, and make sure that the I sound is the same through all of those. And if not, maybe you're saying I knife perfectly, but maybe when you're adding that L, it changes. Like I life, versus I life. So watch out for that.
Whatever life holds in store for me.
Really like I did the me there. Lots of air coming through. So much breath, which again is really key to achieving a natural sound. Just make sure enough air is flowing through your throat, which is great.
I will never forget these words.
I'll never forget this words. These. It feels like saying this words.
I'll never forget these words.
I'll never forget this words versus I'll never forget these words. I'll never forget these words. So make sure this is a common thing I see with students where they take an E sound and actually reduce it a bit. So like an E becomes like and things like that. But you know, you don't really, the E sound doesn't really get reduced. It's going to stay that E sound. It's like these. You still need to maintain it. Never forget these words. So just watch out for that.
With great power comes great. With great power.
You can also hear there on great too. Your placement kind of rises up towards the end. Starts off, I think it starts off low, but then it finishes really high. So it's like great versus great. Okay, so just trying to keep that open the entire time.
With great power.
With great power versus with great power.
Comes great responsibility.
That's a nice fast D sound, flap T on responsibility. Okay, I really like that.
This is my gift.
This is
my gift.
Let me hear that one more time.
D. This is my gift.
This is my. Again, the my.
This is my gift.
I think it sounds okay. I would not be opposed to more air coming through the throat, though. My gift. This is my gift. This is my gift. You could also reduce it. You could lower the pitch more, because the stress isn't on my. The stress is really on gift. This is my gift.
My curse.
My curse. Yeah. So I think those would probably be my big suggestions there. I think you're doing a lot of great things in terms of breath. Watch out for some of the sounds we identified where I do think your placement does tend to rise and your throat tends to close.
Whatever life holds in store for me.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Geoff. All my troubles seem so far away. Okay, alright.
Alright, so we have one last file for today under the title of Joaquin. So let us take a look and see what we have here. And I think it's our friend. Hope I didn't blow our intro for it. Let's see what we got here.
My mother always tells me to smile and put on the happy face. She told me I had a purpose to bring laughter and joy to the world.
This is from Joker, I'm guessing. I've not actually seen Joker. Am I a horrible person? You know, one thing I would say is that if you're, watching this and you're enjoying that audio, and I did, listen to what's going on with the pitches here, because I think there's a great range of high pitches, but also reaching some of the lower ones as well. A lot of times when people are speaking in American English, they're using a range of pitches that's probably closed off around here, so maybe like 3 or 4 pitches, like a middle pitch like eh, a slightly higher one like eh, and a slightly lower one like eh. It's like like kind of using those 3. When in reality, hey, if you listen to native speakers talk, they're going to use a much wider pitches. They're going to go really high sometimes, but they're also going to go really low. So trying to use that whole range when you're talking, it's just going to give you more contrast and things like that. So that's definitely something I appreciated from listening to that audio. Okay, guys, all that being said, I think we got through everyone. I know that tonight's we kind of blitzed through everyone, just gave some rapid feedback, but I do think that you heard some valuable points that you can apply to your own speech based on these things. I'm going to go spend some time with my family, but we will be back next Saturday at 1:30 p.m. New York time, and we hope to see you again and hear your audio files and things like that. Again, my name is Geoff. Thank you guys so much for your time. Have a good day, have a good night, good afternoon, and I will see you guys at the next live stream. You take care.